Evening. Welcome to the third episode of Live, our museum in Lotus. As you know, this is our third episode. So we realized that actually every single episode we are switching places, right? The first episode we were there, second episode we went somewhere else, and third episode we are here because you know Lotus on Water, we sell fengshui collections and sell them firsthand. But actually in the galleries there are a lot of wonderful and amazing things. They are not for sale, but they are extremely of high value, extremely precious, and they are Master's personal collections. In fact, they are antiques, and that's why we have Mr. Pino. We know him, many episodes. Mr. Giuseppe De Josa.
Thank
you.
you.
As Mr. Pino, yeah.
Thank you.
To an expert to come and share with us all the qualities of all these collections, and I will share Master's art that come well with them wonderfully. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's what we have. Museum in Lotus.
Museum in Lotus.
So throughout this few episodes, actually, many people they realize that, oh, once again, I'm repeating myself, they realize that the chairs they have been touching for a long time, the pillar lamp, the Carrera lamp, they have been looking at for a long time. Actually, it's very amazing and there's a lot of story behind it. So the more they come, the more they learn and the more they appreciate what's going on with the whole place. Today we are at this place, sort of like a stage thing. But these chairs has always been here. Actually, this few collection has always been here. So obviously, today we are going to talk something about this thing.
Absolutely.
Over here, right?
First of all, I would like to say that I'm honored, privileged to be here tonight, and mainly because I will express my modest opinion in some of the very beautiful pieces that belong to Master Yoon. This form part of his collection. I understand they're not for sale.
Yeah, they're not for sale. Not for sale, yeah.
But they need to be appreciated.
Yes.
And my suggestion for the appreciation is I can explain them and I would give you a sort of interesting, hopefully, explanation, but the real thing and the real visit here in the ensemble of beautiful elements will really allow you to discover in its own merit and its own beauty and its own value each and every piece.
So you've got to come here to the gallery to feel it.
You have to come and see it as I am seeing at the moment. Why do I say that I'm privileged? Why do I say that I'm honored to present a piece of this excellence? And what is excellent about this piece? It's not only excellent because of the age. We're talking about 15th or 16th century. We're talking about something of 400, 500 years. It's also an excellent piece because its weight has been conserved. Again, excellent because of the aesthetic, and I will enter into the detail of the aesthetics. It's also excellent because of the value a chest of this kind has. It was definitely made for a monastery. What is absolutely imperative, beautiful, and exceptional, as I mentioned before, is the Zen quality of this chest. Purity, simplicity. I am radiated by the energy that this kind of chest provides me. Right. And I hope the same kind of energy will provide you when you come here and you started to examine without me being present and just getting the spirit of this chest transferred onto you. I will enter into description just in a minute.
Right, so we are talking about, today we are here, then obviously we are actually talking about the chairs that's behind us. I think many of you, or you will be very familiar, that the chest here, it's where they always light the incense. Another place that you've always lighting incense, and you might have known what is this thing, but they do not know the value of this. Mr. Giuseppe, Mr. Pino has briefly touched on the beauty and the value of this. We'll definitely go into details, but before that, we have many friends who are here and have left their comments. So if you're online, please leave us a comment so we will know you are here. Christopher is with us, and then we have Jewel who says hi. Hello, Mr. Khan and Mr. Pino. Right? Hi, Geraldine. Amanda is also here. Yvonne, they all say evening, Mr. Pino and Mr. Khan, and so on.
Thank you.
Kola is here, of course. So if you're here, do help us to like and share and to go and bring this word to your good friends, especially if you're our one part of Lotus on Water, our client, then you really want to tune into this episode, because then you realize by the time you come to the gallery again, then you realize that the place where you've been lighting incense is actually such a valuable artifact. In fact, am I right? This chest over here, behind us, this chest, it's actually older than the first episode, the Indian dowry chest that we talked about.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's an older artifact.
Much older.
Much older.
We're talking about 15th, 16th century. I mean, this has 400.
15th, 16th century.
Absolutely.
If it's 16th century, that means we're talking about 15 something. If it's
absolutely
something earlier, that means 14 something.
Absolutely.
So it's really about 500-600 years of history.
It's 500-600 years.
500-600 years.
Yes.
You know, we had an exhibition, we had an art exhibition in Chimes Hall before, in Singapore, Chimes.
Yes.
And Chimes was actually about 1800s, so 100 over years.
Yes.
It's really one of the most prized national monument we have here in Singapore.
Yes.
But this chest over here is 500-600 years old.
500-600 years.
500-600 years old. The way we like to do it is that we create the entire environment. There's like a museum, but it is not to the extent that you have to stand behind the bar, stand behind the windows, and you can only appreciate from far. But we believe that because they can last throughout the years, and in fact you can still interact with it, and it brings value to the whole thing, brings value to Mastuin's art as well. Then we know that every single aspect is actually well taken care of, even the place where you like your incense. One thing before we go into the deeper aspects of this main character here tonight is that, I said I have a surprise for Mr. Pino, is that there's actually one of the smaller thing. Actually, it's a partner or something is similar to this. This thing here, oh my God, this is actually very heavy.
Very heavy. It's very, very, very heavy.
It's very heavy. So I have with me something that's smaller here. Not the whole chest. It's a not a major character today, but we did something to it, to this, that we are using it well. I hope that the artifact comes to life and it's more with our daily thing. Probably we can talk a little bit about this thing first. Okay. Then I can show them what's going on, what they used it for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, when we look at the piece like this, which is extremely heavy, it's because it's made out of iron. Now, can you imagine, this is iron, and as the light is hitting this beautiful object, now all the decoration that from the bottom to the top I see, it's foliage, flowers.
Right.
Where the Tibetan ironsmiths were absolutely fantastic, wonderful craftsmen, is not only in the construction of anything that was made in iron, but also the decoration are so rich, so important, so beautiful. So
I'm not sure I can see on camera, but actually, you know, you can actually see the carvings that are on it. You know, if it's not necessary, the carving, in
absolutely
the matter of
not
practical usage. But you know, here you see, it's all over the place, all around it. That's the work that we see. Well, how old is this piece in my hand? Probably.
I mean, can I say I would date it 19th century, but definitely could be earlier than that.
200-300 years old.
It could definitely
200-300 years old. So what did they use this for in the past?
Okay, first of all, let me tell you, this was used for food.
Oh.
So to transport food from one place to the other. But I also think it could have been used for barley beer.
Oh.
So in those days, in that climate, they needed something to boost, and the beer was definitely taken from this container and poured into small containers for them to drink them.
Interesting.
I mean, the more I see it, the more I see how intrigued it is. When we look at it, it seems to have 1, 2, 3 parts, and then the top.
Yep.
Now, I ask myself, was it made in order, in pieces of iron and then joined? No. It's just for decoration.
Right, and the segments here.
The segments here
are for
decoration. Absolutely.
Okay.
And then when we look at the top, I mean, can you imagine a piece like this? Just feel the weight. We're talking about kilos and kilos of iron. And this was all hand beaten to perfection.
Yes.
Now, I see this finial, and this finial sits on a lotus.
Right.
How beautiful the lotus. What is the meaning of the lotus? The meaning of the lotus is, again, purity. But it's not only limited to purity. It's also with reference to rebirth. And it's also reference, again, to the maximum value that the Buddhists has.
Right.
So all this wonderful connection to a piece so beautiful and at the same time so simple but elaborate in the decoration. From the sides, we see that there's a strap, and this is the strap that will serve to hold the container. And interestingly enough, we see that on one side and the other, there are two rosettes. And it's just for decoration purposes.
Yes, so it's not any normal food container.
This is an extraordinary. That's the reason I said tonight I've been invited to present some extraordinary items. Of course, this is the most extraordinary items, but nevertheless, the other two that I see here are wonderful, are beautiful.
So I just want to make it clearer for everyone. This used to be, and this is from the Tibetan region, huh?
Yes.
So this is, today's theme is Tibetan, huh? So we have here, this is actually iron, 200-300 years old. It used to be either kept to keep food. Is it a bit like what we have in Singapore nowadays, the 3 layers? What do they call that? Tongkat? Is it? Is it? Yeah, but it's a high class one. It's not your usual aluminium tongkat. Okay, this is a high class one because of, you know, in today's day, some people they tapao food. You've been in Singapore for so long, you should know, right? Yeah. So you have that thing, 3 layers, and you bring out the food and you eat it immediately.
Yes.
But you know on the out because it's daily use, so you don't see any all this kind of designs. You don't see it outside. There's a race or there's a group of people in Singapore that's called Peranakans.
Yes.
Are you familiar with them?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So they're more refined, all this thing. They have this kind of containers, but you know they're very good with their designs outside, so it looks very delicate on this thing. So something like this in Tibetan region 200-300 years ago is a food container, or as Mr. Giuseppe has explained, that it might be for beer as well. Huh?
Absolutely.
It might be. So one common misconceptions that people have is that the world of Buddhism is actually quite huge. There's many different ways of practice it. And in Tibet, by that time, it was already quite Buddhist. Because since Tang Dynasty, which was like 600 and 700 AD, 1,300 years ago, it started to turn Buddhist. So if this was 300 years ago, that means that by the time, they were already quite Buddhist. And they actually drank barley beer.
Yes.
Maybe it's a practical reason to warm them up, I don't know, yeah. So they did have the beer thing going on. So this is a very exquisite food or beer container.
Yes.
From 200-300 years ago. I brought this out. Okay, we're going to do something with this, and I haven't actually told you about it yet. I brought this.
Just add something about
sure.
it.
Yeah.
Was this an ordinary piece? No, it was definitely not an ordinary piece. This was an exceptional piece, which were reserved to the aristocracy or the high clergy.
Yes.
Nothing so complicated, so beautiful, so zen would have been made if not for a purpose and for a particular class of the Tibetans, aristocracy.
Yeah, absolutely. They won't bother it, yeah?
They wouldn't.
They wouldn't.
And the time that is taken, because I can understand making it, it would not be extremely difficult, although complex in the making. But all those details, all those flowers, all those foliages, repeated constantly, and all done by hand.
Yes, definitely.
And again, I'm more inclined to believe that this was for the clergy because of the lotus.
Right.
And the meaning of the lotus. And there's some sort of vibes, in my opinion, between what I see here and this chest.
Okay.
And if I'm right in my interpretation that it was meant for the clergy, this is also was meant for the clergy. And who knows, maybe in those days, on top of a chest like this was something very similar to what I'm seeing here in front of me. How beautiful.
Yes, indeed. And this is not the only pice we have. Huh?
We have
I put this here because it's lighter, because the other one is very heavier. Everything in the past is so heavy. I have here, I think they catch you on a white camera, that how do you give a brief of new life to this 200-300 years old antique?
Yes.
I think this is also somewhat like a food container.
Absolutely.
Beer container,
you are absolutely right.
Yeah. Well, today I make good use of this. It's not too heavy actually, even with the ice and water inside.
Yes.
I make good use of this, and I did something a bit different. Because since in the past it was used to serve beer,
Yes.
it used to contain beer. Today I did something a little bit different, which is actually I have, ooh, cold. I think I have to put it here first. I have here, I placed our laurent-perrier champagne inside.
How ingenious.
I placed our laurent-perrier champagne right in it, as you can see.
How ingenious.
So I think
Well
that's
done.
one way we can revitalize and
Absolutely.
make good use. So it's not just a museum piece, you know. I think everything in Lotus on Water, they should come to good use. So there we have, as you see, the laurent-perrier champagne. This camera
Exceptional.
right on now.
Very nice.
I'll just pan and let everyone see what's going on. So here, this is what we have. Put the ice, put the water inside, and this is our laurent-perrier champagne. There we have it.
Maybe we should share.
Yeah, we should. I should put this here. Okay. Laurent-Perrier will be proud, because Laurent-Perrier is actually established in 1812. And this antique, if it's about the same age as this, probably about the same time, 200-300 years.
Possibly, but I would definitely say that there's no doubt about this iron one. This might be later. And
Okay.
I also, when I look at it carefully, it's made out of copper.
Okay.
And I also see brass. What is interesting and would possibly give me a certain idea of the age would be the color of the brass and the
Right.
color that the time is given to the copper. So the copper is almost chocolate color. And when you look at the brass has a wonderful patina that only the
Yes.
time would be able to provide.
I see. So you see, even the ones that we use to ice bucket, wine bucket, champagne
That's a
bucket
good
that we
one.
use in here, we use a bit something that is different, antique from
Yes.
Tibetan times. And so speaking of which, I think I have good news to share with everyone.
Good.
So, this Saturday is a special day. This Saturday is Master Yun's birthday.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so the Master Yun, the painter of all our beautiful paintings, and Master Yun, as you know him, 6th generation, the only one that Laurent-Perrier has worked with before. You're familiar with Master Yun, collectors of all this beautiful and valuable antiques. This Saturday is Master Yun's birthday. I don't know exactly what it's going to do, but of course we would like to share the blessings with everyone. So this Saturday, usually when clients come to my gallery, they'll be drinking red wine. That's pretty nice. But since this Saturday is a day of celebration, because it's his birthday, so this Saturday we're going to have laurent-perrier champagne. It will be served throughout the whole day.
Fantastic.
Free flow laurent-perrier champagne. And if you come to this gallery, then we will serve the laurent-perrier champagne in these containers that used to serve the clergies, they used to serve the aristocrats of 200-300 years ago. Now you will get the chance to be in connection with all these beautiful and amazing antiques. I think they have power and value as well.
Yes.
So we are using this Saturday to serve laurent-perrier champagne.
Oh, what a wonderful idea. Well done. Well done.
I think it's a way to actually use it better.
Yes.
Because they can last through the times, so I suppose they can still be used till today.
Yes.
They're not that, they are precious, but not to the point that you have to put it far, far away and not touch it, you know. Yeah, so there's a different concept, and I believe that they can be used in our daily life. Celebrate, yeah. Something like this is actually definitely worthy of celebration. So do come this Saturday. Stay tuned to our Facebook to know what's going on. Last year, Master Yun gave out a lot of huat kueh. Do you know what's huat kueh?
Yes.
You know those Chinese cake thing? Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, once again, for the benefit of everyone, how many years have you been in Singapore?
Well, I've been in Singapore altogether for over 22 years, although in 3 different periods.
Yeah. But you
And-
don't have that accent. You never picked up that Singaporean accent.
I don't think I am equipped to
But
yes.
yours is not an Italian accent as well. Am
It's
I
not
right?
an Italian accent because my father basically used to be one of the officers in the Italian embassy, and I remember that when I was maybe 11, Dad was appointed in Ottawa in Canada, and we just actually, the family followed him, and I remember that the first day that we landed in Ottawa, the day after we had to go to school, and that was an English school. And I'm a twin, my brother is a doctor, and we were both thrown in a classroom. And my father basically instructed the teacher that we were never going to sit along
Together.
the same desk. So we were actually far apart. And for at least for the first 6 months, we looked at each other, not understanding the English language, but because of the hardship, we then were able to pick it up. And I suppose that has stayed with us.
I see.
And
Yeah.
that's how I remember, and maybe that is also the reason why the general manager of the bank decided to post me to London, because he knew, or the head HR knew, that I was able to understand and speak the language.
Would you be able to, with 22 years of experience in Singapore?
Yes.
You last told me that, last episode you were sharing with me that you have been in touch and started your journey with all these wonderful artifacts and antiques since 1971.
Yes.
Correct? Am I correct? Yeah.
You're very good,
1971.
and the memory is excellent.
Okay, so 22 years in Singapore. Are you able to understand Singlish?
I think I can understand Singlish, but I would not be able to repeat it, because I think I would mimic something that I was not born with. And it's so nice when you hear it directly by the people of the land, rather than, for some aspect, I'm a stranger. And to try to imitate what really does not come easy to me would be a disservice to the Singaporeans. I respect too much the Singaporeans to try to speak a language which is not familiar to me.
But we all have our expertise, huh? We all have our expertise. That's why I have you on this show to share this, because a lot of the things I see, if you don't point out, I might not be able to see the details, what's going on. But we now revitalize it. So once again, friends, I tell you, this Saturday you must come to the gallery so we can have good laurent-perrier champagne, and you get to enjoy out of this 200-300 years old antique. They used to serve great food. I think if it's for the clergy, it must be the best food.
Absolutely the best.
And they used to serve beer inside it, barley beer. So what I know is that if a civilization is high class, they have ample enough, then they will make beer. If not, why they make beer, right? Yeah.
Yes.
We have friends here, Geraldine, Madam Lai, Yvonne, Cherisha. You see, I talk about champagne, everyone clap hand. Yeah, so that's the thing. Yeah. Jewel, Daphne. So you must come. Daphne must come. Daphne says yay. So I suppose you're coming this Saturday, to celebrate the birthday of Master Yun, and he'll be sharing his blessings through this wonderful collections that he has. Amanda says that I think this can, or this tin thing,
yes,
this container, can be placed directly on the fire to heat up. Probably, huh?
Possibly, yes.
I think I might have saw it in movies before, huh? Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah. See, people who know how to cook, huh? They will actually
Yes.
see a way about
Yes.
all this. Probably, I think you might be right. Yeah, I think that might be correct. Yeah. So there we have it. We are going to, the first episode we talked about the bells. huh?
Yes.
Then now you see we have one bell over there.
How beautiful.
And as we said, we really hang the bell. So now when you are here and you like the incense over here at this Tibetan chest that's 500-600 years old, or on the Indian dowry chest, you can also get a little bit of blessing by ringing the bell after that.
Absolutely.
On that day of Guan Ying's birthday, they went to place their rings on the Kerala lamp as well.
Very
So
nice.
that's great, yeah. We're going to use the Kerala lamp for the Deepavali, which is a festival of lights, but they want you to stay tuned to what's going on. But first focus on the this Saturday, Master Yun's birthday. Right? So this is of Tibet, so today is a Tibetan theme. If you have questions about Tibet history, or when we're talking about this, you have ideas, or maybe you have some imagination of how these containers can be used. A lot of mothers with us tonight, huh? So
Yes.
we talk about cooking, huh? That's why. Yeah. So that's great. You can always leave your comment, and we can try to, I think all this comes along with a lot of exchange and imagination and ideas. But of course, back to going to our main lead and artifact in this limelight today, which is this chest over here.
Before I touch on this chest,
Yep.
as I've come tonight, I've looked at the chest, I look at these wonderful artifacts, but also I look at the beautiful painting.
Yes.
And the first thing that has come up to my mind, how beautiful things, independently from the time they were created, if they are beautiful, they would talk to each other. They would exchange an enormous energy. You look at this dark chest, which was made again for the clergy, and you
Okay.
look at this vibrant painting with all these marvelous colors. I'm starting now to understand partly, and I have to say that I'm totally ignorant, but I hope to grow with a better understanding of Master Yu's painting. If I'm not mistaken, this represents a peacock.
Yes.
And therefore a richness, the richness in every sense. And here, instead, we see the balance. We see a Zen-like, mute, silent piece with great value at the same time. So pieces don't necessarily need to relate each other in terms of richness.
Yes.
There's a good equilibrium that I see between a fantastic, colorful, joyful, and then a very subtle, silent, I would say, piece.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the juxtaposition.
The juxtaposition.
Yeah, the juxtaposition. That's
right
life,
word.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
that's life, right? But even as a chest itself, actually, there's a lot to discover. Of
There's
course,
a lot
Master
to
Yu's
discover.
painting that we see here, this, you might be familiar, is the one that we call Golden Daylight. We talk about Tibet, and we talk about Tibet, you know, they have that, we call it Budala Gong, which is, you know, they have this white color temple.
Yes.
What palace?
Yes.
How
It's the Holy Palace,
yeah,
Potala.
Palace. We can imagine that because it's called Golden Daylight, is that the peacock head is on the top. The rest of the feathers and the fromage, you can take it like it's a mountain.
Yes.
And the daylight actually comes from the peak.
Yes.
We can imagine that the sun rises behind the Budala Palace.
Yes.
It's a bit similar to what the painting
Why not?
is showing. Okay, so the chest.
Let's-
Yes.
Let's briefly talk about the chest.
Okay.
Now, when you will come here, you'll be able to realize much better than by seeing this chest from home. It's almost difficult to understand that it has a wider base and it slopes towards upwards.
This you have to come and see it yourself.
You have to see it.
See yourself. Unlike the Indian dowry chest, which is pretty
Yes.
standard and rectangular in size, this one you have to see it because we are sitting here, you can't really see it. What Mr. Giuseppe is saying that the base of the chest is slightly wider and it inclines upwards. It inclines upwards.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So at the top here, it's actually more narrow, a bit narrower. So it's like this. It's a bit
exactly
like
like
it's a bit
this,
like a trapezium.
It's like a trapezium.
Yeah. So you're gonna see this yourself, huh? Gonna come and feel it. It's very subtle. You've not been seeing this for quite some while. I didn't notice.
Yes.
Okay. So why is that so?
Very good. When I traveled in 1991, that's exactly the day to Tibet. The first thing that the guide showed us was the Potala Palace, is where the Dalai Lama used to live. And one of the things that he mentioned as we were discovering from the exterior of the palace was that it had a very, very large base, wider than the top,
Even the palace,
even the
the
palace.
Budala Gong was.
And I actually
this.
asked, what is the meaning? And from an architectural point of view, it has to have very solid base, and as it goes up, it can become narrower.
Right.
When we look at this particular chest, there's also this similarity.
Right.
Wider base and narrow. But it must mean something more. What does it mean? Okay, in my modest opinion, it means the strength and the base of Buddhism, which is very, very solid. That is the sort of analogy that I can see. The analogy between the Potala Palace, the analogy with this chest, but also the analogy in Buddhism. Is my take. I could be wrong, but this is what I like to think. It's the solidity of the Buddhism for the Buddhists.
And it's reflected in the architecture.
It's reflected in the correct.
Reflected in the furniture.
It's reflected in the furniture
This important chest here.
of that particular period, because as the age go by, we see less this kind of form. So that's where I come to the conclusion that this is definitely 15th, 16th century.
And if we think about it, it's actually more difficult to do something like that.
Of course.
Because
more
it's
difficult.
easier to do something that's entirely squarish, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if you incline that thing, it's a hassle, yeah.
It is a hassle.
Yeah, everything is hassle, it's actually more luxurious than anything else.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So
Let's end a little bit on the merits and the beauty of a chest like this.
Okay.
Subtle, very, very subtle. So I would like to start by saying that you actually opened a solid lid by just lifting it upwards.
Okay, we're going
And
to do that
here-
later. Huh?
And this we have a mechanism, a lock mechanism, a wire lock mechanism. Immediately the lock mechanism makes me think about the precious items that were contained in this box.
Why do you need a lock?
Why do you
Because
need a
it's
lock?
precious.
It's
What
precious.
they're holding, yeah.
And I would say of the precious things that the chest would have, we would definitely see the tankas. And those are beautiful paintings which are rolled, and they are
Cabinet
treasures for the Buddhism. And then they were placed inside. But also the holy scripts.
Okay.
They would possibly be contained in a box like this, again with all the paraphernalia that was used by Tibetans in their normal daily life
Right.
to pray to Buddhism.
Right.
So let's look at this
facet.
at this facets,
Yeah.
as you say. This has a rim, and this is scalloped. This rim.
You can feel it if you're here.
You
huh?
can feel it. Actually, you have to feel it.
Yeah, you have to feel it. You might not see the gradient here, but you can feel it.
has.
Yeah.
Now, what we see this beautiful scalloped rim, and then we see regular intervals. We see basically this arrow. And we see this arrow flanked by the opposite arrow, and in the middle there's also arrow. But this time is very, very rich in terms of design, and it forms the base with the chain on top of the mechanism to lock the chest.
Right. Right.
Now, here along the scallop, we see three different colors, which basically give us the impression of the way it was actually decorated, the scalloped rim.
Right.
When we look at the center, we actually look at a cartouche.
Cartouche.
Cartouche or medallion. It's
Okay.
exactly the same thing. Cartouche is a French word.
Okay.
Now, when we look at the frame, we look again at three frames. What is in the middle? There's a flaming jewel.
It's a flaming jewel.
This is a flaming jewel, and here we see the flames, and on top of the jewel, we see that it's been
Decorated.
nailed,
nailed.
again, this strip. So we
Right.
have three strips.
Okay.
1, 2, and 3. Here, as we've seen, we have three decoration, different in colors. The cartouche also has three
Layers.
decoration of the same color as the top.
So this tree thing, this number 3,
We'll get
it's
to
a
it.
key.
We'll get to explain what number 3 means. I just want to reiterate how many times this 3 number is repeated.
You know, Chinese, they are very sensitive to numbers.
But I will tell you what I know about
Right.
3 for the Tibetans.
Okay.
Now, when we look at the sides.
Yeah.
Okay, these are all decoration.
Right.
Here we see 1, 2, and 3.
Three
They're
also.
all arrows.
Yep.
Here we see upwards 1, 2, and 3 straps.
Yep.
There's no reason to it, if not decorative in nature. And again, look at the richness of the decoration in the iron. Then we look at the three
sides,
arrows
Yeah.
that we have
Yeah.
on
This
the
you have to come and
sides.
see, yeah.
This has a functional use.
Oh.
The two pieces of wood put together
Right.
need to be reinforced in order to make sure
Right.
that the cabinet will be solid.
I see.
And we have this here, and they go from the back to the front
Okay.
and also on the back.
Okay, you got to come and see and feel it yourself,
You
huh?
have to see, I can explain, but the visual contact and having the possibility of touching. This is what I like about the collection of Master Yun. You can come, and differently from a museum, you can actually touch, view, and stay as long as you have. And have a take. You don't need to listen to what I'm saying. Have your own opinion. And this is how you evolve and you come to new conclusions which are not limited by what I am saying or anybody else, as a matter of fact, will say about an object.
Right.
Now, let's also see that we have 3 different frames at the bottom and the sides.
The sides and the bottom as well.
The
huh?
sides and
And
the
the
bottom.
bottom,
And
yeah.
there are 3, okay? In the darker one, when you will see, it will be clearer to you the possibility of seeing the darker frame.
Yes.
In the darker frame, there are lotus flowers.
Right.
And again, what does the lotus mean? The lotus means purity, but it also means the lotus rebirth.
Okay.
And this is very much associated to the Buddha. It also gives you the understanding of the beauty of the lotus. All these meanings are all associated together, and it's with respect to the Buddha.
Right.
Now, again, we have 3 frames. What do the 3 frames mean? And just like the Chinese, for the Tibetans, the number 3 is a very lucky number. The lucky number, why? The 3 jewels. What do the 3 jewels mean? They mean basically reference to the Buddha.
Right.
It means, again, reference to the scriptures, and again, the Sangha. What a beautiful concept the Sangha contains. Is basically supporting the community of Buddhism. Any religion would have something so important, so simple, and so effective. It's to help other people. It's to believe in the right guidance for a Buddhist, and at the same time recognizes a higher being. Amazing.
Also, the number 3 is
The number 3.
is what we represent. Is what we call the 3 treasures of
The 3 treasure, the 3 pearls.
friends in Singapore. Some of you should be familiar. In Chinese, we call it 佛法僧. So it's Buddha, the doctrines, and the Sangha, which is the monks.
Exactly
the
the
whole group
same.
thing.
Exactly the same. One more thing that I would like to basically sort of pass in terms of information, and I'm sure many of you would know about it. When we actually look at the smiling, laughing Buddha,
Okay.
the laughing Buddha is represented at times through the wise monkeys. Why the wise monkeys? Let's think for a second. When we see the 3 monkeys, we see the monkeys putting their hands on their eyes, which means they do not want to see evil. They put their hands on their ears. They do not want to hear evil.
Yes.
And the last one would be to put their hands on the mouth, not to say anything that would be evil. If all of us, every single day, would practice this simple concept, what better human beings we would be. And it's simple. Let's not talk badly about others or anything. Let's not hear the bad things that people may tell us. Let's wash them away. And at the same time, we should never allow ourselves to be involved in talking negatively about anything and other people.
Right. So we have this chest with the number 3 as significant number here. We have Jenny who tells us that the color of the wood is richly textured and scalloped. Is it? Scalloped. Designs are beautifully crafted.
Yes.
I can see it. Of course, I think Jenny has come by here a lot of times to actually see this in person. Friends who haven't seen it before should come by. Some of the friends over here are saying that it looks like a hulu. You know hulu? Like
I don't actually.
Actually, it's like a plant.
Oh,
it's like a Gourd shape.
Okay.
So this thing, for a lot of the Chinese friends, it looks like that thing.
Absolutely.
There might be a cross, because by the time it's like 14th to 15th century, the Tibetan culture they have a lot of interwoven culture with the Chinese culture, because when Tibet first made contact or have relationship with China or mainland China or Chinese culture was during Tang Dynasty, where the princess was married over. So by the time it was this dynasty, you might have 700 years have passed, and then 700 years again, it's now this artifact is here.
Yes.
Now, because it's Master Yun's collection, I'm curious. I think all of us are curious. As you've seen how Master Yun did with the Indian dowry chest, what exactly is Master Yun hiding inside this chest? What is he using? We have come here a lot of times. You have come here a lot of times to actually light the incense here, huh?
I've never taken the liberty to open it, also because it's locked.
Get a hammer to actually lock it up, because this lock I don't think is antique, but you know, I can.
But serves the purpose, I would say. Serves the purpose.
Anyway, it's in Chinese, the lock, so you can't open it. Yeah.
No, I won't be able to do that.
So we, you know, I'm not sure whether I remember the code after some laurent-perrier champagne, huh? Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Most welcome.
So this will, if you have a chance, we're going to talk about this, huh? This thing. You see, got not that difficult. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So we have this chest here now, lays, not say barren, but without. Maybe I should put this here. Okay. Without anything on top. This wood feels different. When you touch it, it feels different from the Indian dowry chest.
Absolutely.
That is a hardwood.
This is a hardwood, and this instead is a softwood. It's very rare to find at an altitude of 3,500 meters above the sea level,
Okay.
approximately 10,000 feet. It's very hard to find hardwood, which is
Right.
very treasured, the hardwood, and very pricey, and possibly imported by nearby countries.
I see.
So very, very difficult. I seldom have seen anything in hardwood,
Okay.
unless it's very precious.
Okay. So it's softwood, huh?
Softwood.
Softwood, but you know, it still lasted for very long.
Yes.
We have the great designs. Master has collected this for quite a while. So I know, I mean, Master paintings and his art, huh? He actually collects the non-finished works that are inside. But I think there's more to it. I think we should take a look, huh? And what is he keeping inside? I'm going to show you because you won't have the chance to open the chest, huh? Come on, you know. Yeah. Okay, so this is the, Mr. Giuseppe was saying, this is the top lap. This is the flap. That is.
But look at the thickness of the wood.
Yeah. Okay. Does it go all the way back? It goes all the way back?
It goes
Okay.
all the way
I
back.
think we can let it lean on the painting for a while.
Yes,
It has a sense, huh?
it does have a sense.
It has a sense.
It
has a
does.
sense of what's going on. So we have here, okay, so what we see is, this is what Mastering kept. Once again, unfinished, work in progress.
Oh,
All this work in progress. The non-finished paintings, halfway done. But what he did was that he kept this particular block above it. Shall we take a look? This is actually above.
amazing.
This is actually above
Amazing.
the whole thing. I mean, okay, these are the scrolls that were beneath it. Let me just take a smaller one. Okay, this smaller one. This is a scroll that's beneath it. This was above the scrolls. This was above the scrolls. Okay. What is this piece of artifact we have here? We will show you the scrolls later, but we talk about the artifact first.
I may even
Please, yeah.
say that this is a piece of art.
Please, yeah.
And to my knowledge and understanding, this is a 16-piece, 16th century wood cover of the Holy Scripts.
Right.
Again, when you look at a piece of this is hardwood. And the reason why it was hardwood is to give recognition and the importance to the sacred scripts. Now, this would be on top of the script.
Oh,
Underneath, at the last, there would be a very simple, without any ornaments, any depiction, just to hold in place the scripts.
that means that, okay, there were scriptures.
Correct.
This is on 16th century. That means about 400 years ago.
Correct.
There were a lot of scriptures that were written on paper,
They were written on paper.
handwritten,
Handwritten.
and so it's like a sandwich,
Exactly.
all the papers, and then there was a wooden base
Yes.
to hold the papers, and this was on
On
top,
top.
of the rest of the scriptures.
Yes.
And on here, we see that it's carved, am I right? 5 different kinds of Buddhas. There are Buddhas.
Finely carved.
Yeah,
Now,
finely carved.
if you imagine the way it's been presented to us, I mean, this is a very valuable piece in many, many ways, not only for what it basically covered, but also the way it's being carved. Hardwood. When we look, we see a simple frame around. Again, the emphasis is on the Buddhas, the 5 different Buddhas.
Right.
And as you see, when we look at each of the faces of the Buddhas, they're all different. We actually need to have a magnifying glass, which I hope on Saturday when you come over, you will be able to have, so that you can go through yourself and look at the posture, at the mudra, but also the expression of their faces. They all seems to be very calm, almost in a meditative state. Calm, again, beautiful. Everything is absolutely perfect. I imagine the ends of the carver going through, and as he was processing the carving, the kind of feeling that he had, it must have been a magical. And only, again, people of that caliber, I would say artists, that's the reason why I wouldn't like to call this an artifact. This is an art piece. Again, for the value it has and for the meaning that it portrays. Now let's look. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now they all seem to be sharing the same position. Crossed legs, and they're seated on a lotus pedestal.
Right, this is the one.
This is the lotus pedestal. Now, when we see each of the Buddha is inside a niche, and behind them there's another niche. But what is interesting me is that when we look at the first niche, it's actually made of 3 little steps.
Yes.
Again, is this recalling the concept of tree? I think so.
Okay.
So as we've commented about the meaning of tree being this a lucky number, I think this tree is on purpose being sculpted this way, which is also what we see on top. We see 3 frames.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, in the middle of the 3 frames, we see pearls. But I ask myself, were pearls available in the plateau of Tibet at 10,000 feet above the
sea level?
The sea level? Not at all. They were not available. But through the exchanges with the Chinese, of course they got to know, and they knew how pricey these were, and therefore in their own imagination was the highest gift they could give to the Buddha.
Right.
Now when we look at something else, we see that inside the niches there's a red color.
Yeah.
The red color is definitely a natural color. Okay? And we also see the beautiful gold color which is fused. So again,
there's some remnants of gold around.
So we see on the Buddhas, on what the Buddha is wearing, sometimes the red coming out and sometimes we see the gold coming out, which is exceptional, beautiful. Now, let me tell you something about these Buddhas, which I've analyzed. Some of them are quite easy to understand, others a little bit more complicated. So this one, the first one, is Namaskara. I may not pronounce it correctly, but this is the way that Buddhists will call this one. Look at the position. It basically has the hands together. What does it mean? It means respect. It means devotion. This is what it means towards the Buddha. What beautiful concept linked to the higher being. We look at the second one, and this is Dharma Chakra. The Dharma is basically the law of Buddhism, and therefore the respect for the law of Buddhism and following the rule of Buddhism. This is the teaching of the Buddha. This is what it represents.
Right.
When we look at the middle one, this is one of the most portrayed mudra of the Buddha. What does it mean? It's actually called Bhumi Spasa. When we look at it carefully, and please come and take a look with the magnifying glass, you will see that the right hand is touching the earth. But why? Why is it touching the earth? What is the meaning of wanting to touch the earth? It's basically calling earth to witness the enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. But it also means the victory over the devil Mara,
Right.
the king Mara. What a wonderful, again, important position that in this kind of representation the Buddha has. Now, the fourth and the fifth are quite difficult. I have to say they're quite difficult. In my opinion, although I realize that the positions are different, I've come to the conclusion that they would possibly mean the same thing, although represented differently.
Right.
What does it mean? It means patience. It means the beauty of this status. It means to repel the fear. It means the benevolence and power.
Right.
These are some of the meanings of this Abhaya Mudra. These are the Abhaya Mudras. It's in perfect condition. They are light split due to the passage of the time. And again, the base is absolutely simple, no decoration. There's a little repair here. And on the top, we would see remnants of the red lacquer.
So this was used as a top cover for the scriptures.
Absolutely,
And then probably they might bind it together, probably not, and it's just on top of it. But what we have now in this Tibetan chest that's about 500-600 years old is the work in progress by Master Yun. This we have seen before. If you can see, these are all work in progress. I'm not going to open it because it takes a whole deal of time to actually put it back. There are many scrolls here inside. In the past, this chest used to be kept storing those pricey and those valuable scriptures.
Manuscript, yes.
Manuscripts. Now they are storing Master Yun's work in progress. So actually for friends, when you collect Master Yun's art, actually your art was actually stored in this chest as well.
Yes.
And on top of all this is this piece of wood.
Let me tell you one more thing about this particular piece.
Yes.
When you look from the side, it has, again, carving and it's foliage.
Yes.
I asked myself, how come we can see this on one side, we don't see it on the opposite side?
Oh, it's simple. Okay, it's empty here, yeah.
But why is this? Is because I can imagine when this, with the scriptures and the base, was actually stored, the monks only need to read this part here to know exactly what it referred to and then take it out. Now imagine each of these covers, the bottom and the scripts would be basically enveloped in textile, and that's the reason why it has preserved so well a piece of art. This is a piece of art.
Right. And this piece of art now, Mr. Pino is talking about this side that has carvings. This piece is now with all the blessings of the 5 Buddhas and their virtues and their qualities. This is the one that is on top of all the work in progress scrolls that we have. So we can imagine the paintings that you have, other than the materials that we know, gold and silver and so on, when it's actually halfway done, there's a lot of great deal of preparation that is going on as well.
Look at the color, Mr. Khan.
Yeah.
The colors here, to me, bring me back to the work of Master Yun.
It especially resonates with,
yes,
I didn't imagine, but it resonates entirely with the piece of art at the back, you know, because it's reddish and gold,
yes,
reddish and gold.
Yes.
Somehow red and gold, they go very well together.
Beautifully.
So the painting we have with us, the Golden Daylight, you know, is also yellowish, gold of course, for sure, and the red that is quite rare in the paintings, and you put them together. So I think it might be fate that we actually chose this painting to actually exhibit in Museum in Lotus today.
Well done.
In fact, this painting was actually just hang up there. For the sake of the camera, we just brought it down a little bit.
How beautiful it looks.
For the longest period of time, this painting has always been coupled together with this Tibetan chest. Yes. And this piece of book cover, there is a scripture cover that is inside it. So when you come back to the gallery, of course you won't see it here, you see it up there, But you can also see that in the chest, there's a red, there's a yellow. It resonates.
Fantastic.
Past and present. So I'm going to put this, let me do it. I'll put this back on top of all the scrolls that we have. All right. Wow. Okay. Okay. Wow. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Friends, definitely saying this is a great blessing. Ashley says, wow, definitely. All says that it's beautiful. And yes, so we know. Small little things actually, they gain a lot of small little things are taken care of here. And when you come here, you'll find that there's a lot of amazing things that's going on. This thing, the container. And we also have this actually just by our side, right? This thing. What is this thing? It has been placed at that corner for the longest period of time, you know, for many, many months. What is that thing?
Again, another amazing piece.
Okay.
At the beginning I said...
Sorry, would you like some champagne for
yes, with pleasure.
From this antique?
Yes.
Laurent-Perrier will be proud, yeah. All right. Champagne, Laurent-Perrier champagne served from the Tibetan antique. Ooh, from the Tibetan. Oh, okay.
It's
that's prosperity.
And it's good luck.
Yeah, it's very good luck.
Abundance.
Yeah. This always happens to me, yeah. Okay, so we have this thing here. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, huh? Just taking blatant guesses. It's a flask, right? Yeah. It's a teapot. It's a pot.
This is a ewer.
Yeah, it's a ewer.
This is a ewer, and it's a fantastic one.
Ewer, how do you spell it?
E-W-E-R.
Wow, wow, wow.
Now,
okay.
First of all, let me just enter and tell you something about the materials. Here we have copper, and here we have brass. Now, I suspect that also the two handles that we see were also made of brass.
Oh, there are two handles. I didn't see.
There are two handles. And the spout, as you can see, this is brass.
Right.
Now, what was it used for? First of all, when we look at the kind of shape, it's reminiscent, 100%, of the yellow hat of some Buddhist sect.
Oh, now that you say it, yeah.
Beautiful, absolutely amazing.
It's some of the high monks, huh? They have that thing going on.
This is reminiscent.
Okay, no wonder. No wonder they went to do the extra thing going there. Yeah.
Yes. Where was it used? It was definitely used in a monastery.
Okay.
And what it was used for is to actually serve yak butter tea. So you imagine, when you look at the size of a piece like this, and you just consider the weight.
It's very heavy.
And on top of this, there would be a lot of tea inside, and very hot. Very hot because up there, the temperature would be very, very low. And therefore, the person serving the tea had to make sure that the last drop of the tea offered had to be hot. Which brings me to a simple conclusion. The reason why the two handles here are covered with leather, because underneath 100%, I think it would be copper and it would be brass. It's because the leather would not transmit as quickly as otherwise the heat.
I see.
That's the reason, practical reason.
So it was used to serve the tea.
It was used to serve tea
in the monastery.
A big hall with a lot of monks.
For sure, a teapot, let's say, of this sheer size.
A tea container.
A tea container of this sheer size. You are going to serve a lot of people.
A lot of people.
And you have to serve it in one round. That's why you have such a big thing.
Simultaneously, as quickly as possible.
You're not going to go back and fill up the tea, fill water. So it's going to serve at one round. You know, we can make this of good use because sometimes we have a lot of people in the gallery. So this is the a mega and an antique teapot. What age might this be?
This is 19th century, but definitely I would even insist and say that it goes before this age. Let me tell you, even like this, it's quite heavy.
Yes.
Now, please imagine a piece like this with all the liquid inside.
Yeah.
How would anyone be able to serve tea. The only way I could see is the tea
With
would
the
be
knee.
served like this. And the two handles would only serve to balance it. So
Right.
look how ingenious they were. They had to make sure that this would serve quickly the monks. It would be balanced perfectly. The transmission of the heat would be limited, otherwise they would not be able to hold it. And again, it would be served by just kneeling and serving the tea. Even the position of kneeling was an element of respect towards the monks. Beautiful.
I see.
This is my imagination, but I think it's not too different from what the reality and what was the feel about the person serving the tea. One more thing I would like to tell you, and I'm sorry,
May I? Yeah.
I go on and on and on. When we examine this wonderful ewer, when we look at the color, the patina is chocolate color, extremely beautiful.
Okay.
And also the patina that we see here for the brass, again, gives us the idea not only of the age, but of the passage of time, and at the same time the use. Finally, looking at it carefully, and please, when you come on Saturday or any other day, again, get the magnifying glass and try to take a look around the edge of the, look at the script. This
There's a
is
script.
Tibetan.
There's a scripture there. Huh?
This is a script, a beautiful script. This is the Tibetan. Again, I am totally ignorant, and therefore I've not been able to establish what it means. But in my opinion, if I have to give a guess, it's either the name of the donor, so this was donated by somebody for a particular reason to the monastery. It would possibly even mention the name of the monastery, if not the maker of this wonderful ewer.
I see.
How many thoughts have gone into making something so beautiful?
Tibetan?
Yes.
Tibetan.
Yes.
So we're totally a Tibetan day today, huh?
3 beautiful pieces, an amazing collection, I have to say. Again, it reflects very well with the art of Master Yun. Again, there's a transmission I see of energy. I could be wrong, but this is what I see.
Yes.
And again, simplicity against richness, against beauty, against colors. And again, as I mentioned earlier, there's a similarity in the colors, which here are totally faded,
Yeah.
and here are very
Absolutely.
strong and very vital and very beautiful.
I do notice that this peacock, because Master has painted many peacocks, the base of this peacock is also wider and it goes out narrow on top. A bit
Yes.
like the Pudala Palace. Yeah.
Mr. Kant, there's always something that needs to be discovered. And the more carefully we look at objects and we look at art, the easier it to come to analogies.
Right.
And those analogies cannot be wrong. Those analogies is our take about the art.
Yes.
As I mentioned earlier, each one of us has the possibility of understanding, perceiving, and being progressed into have a take about the art, human beings, which animals, it's been demonstrated, might not have.
Yes.
So let's appreciate, please come and appreciate a painting like this. Please come and appreciate a beautiful Tibetan 15th, 16th century and the wonderful script cover together with this ewer and this iron container.
Okay. So as you say, as you know, we're going to put this in a good use. I'm not going to serve tea with this because this is about 400 years old. This thing, I don't know where anyone gets sick after that. But the thing is that we're going to put this to good use. We know the iron containers. We're going to serve Laurent-Perrier's La Cuvée Champagne on Master Yun's birthday,
Yes.
which is this Saturday, 30th of October. What about this ewer? This ewer which they use to serve tea. I think serving the tea to a great monastery of a lot of the Sangha people was a great blessing that's been shared around. So because it's Master Yun's birthday, we also want to share the blessings. I think he wants to share the blessings with a lot of people that comes on that day, probably the day after as well. Now we have this, have you seen this before?
I don't think so.
This is actually a kind of tea leaf.
Oh.
Beneath the gold foil is a kind of tea leaf.
Right.
It's a very good black tea that is being fermented together with the orange or mandarin peel, the
Yes.
skin, So when you taste it, it has a black tea taste, but also it has that mandarin, tangerine taste. Very good, especially for now. It's very good for flu, very good for respiratory issues, you know. So this, you're familiar, it's called Jingji Dan. So it's actually it's a tea. We're not going to brew it in here, but we're going to put all this, you can come and collect in pairs. You can collect 2 at one go. We're going to fill this golden tea leaf thing, the golden eggs, as you say, inside this ua. Full.
Beautiful.
On the day of Master Yun's birthday. We're going to put it in this gallery. So when you come by, you light the incense, you ring the bell, you have some champagne from the iron container and a brass container, you can actually pick up some of the good blessings from this ewer. We have more than one, actually, we have another one as well. So both ewers will be filled with these golden eggs of tea leaves. They used to serve tea to the Sangha, now you can take the tea leaf back on Master Yun's birthday on this Saturday, 30th of October. Then you can come by and feel it yourself, the history, the age, admire the great Tibetan chest together with Master Yun's painting.
How wonderful.
Good plan?
What an opportunity.
Yeah, to experience heritage at the same time to experience good art and good luck as well.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
Right. So, well, I think we have covered a lot today. Oh my God, yeah. See? Actually, there's a lot more to be covered. So, once again, how they do in the past? Every single day. Can you imagine this stuff? Okay.
And even more than once a day.
Yeah. Okay. So, thank you very much, Mr. Pino. Let me get you some champagne. I hope that today's champagne is much tastier because it was taken out from this antique.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic. And the temperature is just perfect.
It's actually better than last week's, huh?
It's very good.
Because probably it makes it... I put the same amount of ice. I put the same amount of ice as last week's. But somehow...
It's precious.
Somehow it made it... is it the material or what? I don't know. It made it colder, yeah. So, cheers.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching and sharing and liking. Jenny says must save this episode, must going back and watch more about this to learn about the 5 Buddhas description and Master Yun's painting art complements the Tibetan carpet very well. Tibetan carpet? Cabinet, sorry, cabinet. Yeah, too much champagne. Yeah. So, as I said, one more time, we're going to have different sessions of live. Next Tuesday, we're definitely going to have our episode 4. You're going to find out what we're going to talk about, which treasures we're going to talk about. Then you have to stay tuned and watch on that day. But before that, this Saturday is Master Yun's birthday. And but we have announced it before. So next week, we also have very important days coming up. For instance, next Friday, the 5th of November, is the first of the lunar month. The next Sunday, 7th of November, is the start of winter in Chinese calendar. It's what we call Li Dong. So a lot of good days upcoming. Suggestions to friends is that you can get your next collection. You can actually have it on Master Yun's birthday and then get to wear it over the next week's auspicious days. And when you're here, come by and appreciate all these wonderful things. And stay tuned to our live. Thank you. Cheers. Cheers.